I stood in our kitchen that Saturday morning, watching Daniel pour coffee into 2 matching mugs, the ones we'd bought on our honeymoon in Italy. Perfect as always, I said, smiling as he handed me one. He kissed my forehead. Only the best for you. 3 years of marriage. And I still got butterflies when he looked at me like that. I genuinely believed I'd found my person. I've got some work to finish before tonight, Daniel said, glancing at his phone. Tonight? I asked, then remembered. Oh, right. Jake's bachelor party. You don't sound thrilled. I am. It's just, joint bachelor parties are always awkward. Daniel laughed, heading toward his office. It'll be fun. Promise. My phone rang the moment he disappeared. Melissa, please tell me you're coming tonight, she said without greeting. Do I have a choice? Not really. Nina would be devastated if you skipped. I sighed, looking through my closet. What do you even wear to these things? Something that says I'm happily married and not interested in drama. I laughed, but something in my chest tightened. I'd come so far from my messy college days, from the heartbreak Tyler had caused me 6 years ago. That chapter was closed. I'd built a new life, a stable life. Emma, you still there? Yeah, sorry, I'll see you tonight. When I returned to the kitchen, Daniel was on his phone again, his expression tense. Everything okay? I asked. He smiled quickly. Just work. Always work. But something flickered in his eyes, something I couldn't identify. Then it was gone. And I convinced myself I'd imagined it. The upscale lounge downtown had dim lighting and the kind of expensive cocktails that came with garnishes I couldn't pronounce. I arrived at 8. My stomach already knotted with anxiety I couldn't explain. Emma. Nina rushed over, pulling me into a hug. I'm so glad you're here. This place is gorgeous, right? It's beautiful, I said, meaning it. Nina was genuinely sweet, the kind of person who made everyone feel included. Melissa appeared at my elbow. You okay? She asked, squeezing my hand. Why wouldn't I be? You have that look, the one you get when something's bothering you. I nodded toward Daniel across the room. He was deep in conversation with Robert Hayes, his business partner. Robert had always made me uncomfortable, his cold stare, his calculating demeanor, the way he measured everyone like they were potential investments. Just tired, I lied. Grace, Daniel's mother, held court near the windows, criticizing the venue to anyone unfortunate enough to be nearby. The lighting is too dark, she announced. And these chairs? Completely impractical. I'd learned early in my marriage to stay out of her way. The evening progressed: toasts, laughter, stories about Jake and Nina's relationship. I was standing near the bar, sipping champagne, when I felt someone behind me. A familiar cologne hit me first, then a voice I hadn't heard in 6 years. Emma. My entire body froze. I turned slowly, and there he was. Tyler Mason, my ex-boyfriend, the man who'd broken my heart so completely I'd spent a year putting myself back together. What are you doing here? I whispered, my voice shaking. His eyes held something I couldn't read: regret, warning, sadness. I need to talk to you, he said urgently. Tyler, I don't. He leaned in close, his breath warm against my ear. He knows everything about us. This whole thing is a setup. You need to. I jerked away, my heart pounding, and turned around instinctively. That's when I saw him. Daniel stood 15 feet away, his eyes locked on me with an intensity that made my stomach drop. He wasn't angry. He wasn't surprised. He was watching me like a scientist, observing an experiment, waiting to see what I would do next. Time seemed to stop. The party noise faded into background static as Daniel and I stared at each other across that crowded room. Tyler's hand touched my elbow. Emma, listen to me. I didn't want to come here. He contacted me 3 weeks ago. Don't, I interrupted, finally breaking eye contact with Daniel. Don't say another word. My mind was racing. Why would Daniel contact Tyler? How did he even know about him? I'd never mentioned Tyler's name. Never showed Daniel photos from college. Melissa appeared at my side. What's wrong? You look like you're going to pass out. I need air, I managed to say. Tyler stepped back, his face conflicted. He's manipulating you, Emma. This whole party, this whole evening, it's a test, and I'm just part of his game. Before I could process his words, Daniel was there, sliding smoothly between Tyler and me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Tyler Mason, he said, extending his hand. Thanks for coming. I know it must have been awkward, but I appreciate you showing up. My breath caught. They knew each other. This was planned. What is this? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Daniel's hand found the small of my back, possessive and firm. Just clearing up some old business, sweetheart. Nothing for you to worry about. But his eyes told a different story. His eyes said, I know everything. And now we're going to see what you're really made of. Sophie, Daniel's young assistant, appeared with drinks, her eyes darting between us with an awareness that suggested she knew more than she should. Grace watched from across the room with a satisfied expression. Even Robert seemed positioned strategically near the exit. I suddenly realized with creeping horror that everyone in Daniel's circle was placed deliberately. This wasn't a bachelor party. This was a stage, and I was the unwitting performer in a play I didn't understand. I excused myself to the bathroom, my legs barely steady. Melissa followed immediately. "What the hell is going on?" she demanded once we were alone. I gripped the marble counter. Daniel invited Tyler. My ex. The one I never told him about. Melissa's eyes widened. How does he even know who Tyler is? I don't know. My voice cracked. I never mentioned him. Not once. Which means Daniel has been investigating me, digging into my past without telling me. The door opened. Nina walked in, her expression concerned. Sorry. I don't mean to intrude, but you looked upset out there. Is everything okay? I wanted to tell her no, nothing was okay, but this was her celebration. Just feeling a bit overwhelmed. Nina studied me. Daniel's been acting strange all week. Jake noticed it too. He kept asking questions about the guest list, about who from your past might show up. Jake thought he was just being thorough, but my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. We need to talk. Meet me in the private room upstairs in 5 minutes. Come alone. Melissa read over my shoulder. Don't go. Something is seriously wrong here. But I had to know. I had to understand what my husband was doing and why. The private room was small and elegant. Daniel stood by the window, his back to me. Close the door, he said quietly. I did, my heart hammering. Daniel, what is this? Why is Tyler here? He turned, and for the first time in our marriage, I saw him without the mask. His face was hard, his jaw tight. Because you lied to me, Emma. I never lied. I just didn't tell you about a relationship that ended years before we met. That's not lying. Omission is a form of lying. He moved closer, and I instinctively stepped back. When we got married, you promised complete honesty. You promised no secrets. Everyone has a past. Daniel, you never told me about every woman you dated before me. This isn't about every woman. His voice rose, then controlled itself with visible effort. Tyler Mason wasn't just any boyfriend. You were engaged to him. The room tilted. What? No, I wasn't. We dated for 2 years, but we never... You accepted his proposal in December of your senior year. There's a photo of you wearing his ring at a Christmas party. Don't lie to me again. How did he know that? Tyler had given me a promise ring, but we'd broken up before any real engagement. That wasn't an engagement ring, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. It was a promise ring. We were kids. It didn't mean anything. It meant enough that you kept it for 3 years after you broke up. Daniel countered. Until you sold it 6 months before we met. I felt sick. He knew about that too. Why are you doing this? Why did you bring Tyler here, dig into my past, set up this whole... I gestured helplessly. Whatever this is. Daniel's expression shifted, something vulnerable breaking through the anger. My blood turned to ice. What letters? The ones you kept. In a box in the attic. Letters from Tyler. Dated from the past 2 years. Letters where he talks about seeing you. About hoping you'll leave me. About how you're making a mistake. That's impossible. Tyler and I haven't communicated since college. I don't know what you found, but don't. His voice was sharp. I have them downstairs in my car. Dated, detailed, intimate. So I did what any husband would do. I contacted him. I asked him to come here tonight. I wanted to see your reaction when you saw him. I wanted to see if you'd run to him or stay with me. The pieces were clicking into place, but they formed a picture that didn't make sense. Daniel, I swear to you, I haven't received any letters from Tyler. I haven't communicated with him at all. He studied my face. You really don't know about them? No. Show them to me. We went downstairs, the party still going. Daniel led me to his car in the parking garage. He opened the trunk and pulled out a shoebox. I recognized one I'd packed away years ago with old college textbooks. Inside were dozens of letters on cream-colored stationery. Tyler's handwriting unmistakable. I opened one with shaking hands. It was dated 6 months ago. Emma, I can't stop thinking about our conversation last week. When you said you were unhappy, it broke my heart. You deserve better than Daniel. You deserve someone who sees you. Really sees you. Meet me at our old coffee shop on Thursday. We'll figure this out together. Love, Tyler. I read 3 more. They were all the same, intimate, urgent, suggesting an ongoing affair. But I'd never received them. I'd never written back. Daniel, I said slowly. I never got these letters. Someone put them in that box. Someone wanted you to find them. His face paled as the implication sank in. If I wasn't having an affair, then someone was framing me. We went back inside, both of us shaken. Tyler was still there, talking with Mark Chen, a friend from his photography studio. I approached him directly, Daniel beside me. Tyler, did you write letters to me over the past 2 years? Tyler looked genuinely confused. Letters? Like physical mail? No, Emma. I haven't contacted you since. Well, since you told me to leave you alone after the breakup. I respected that. Then why are you really here? Daniel demanded. Tyler glanced around nervously, then lowered his voice. 3 weeks ago, a man named Robert Hayes contacted me. He said he was a friend of yours, that you'd been asking about me, wondering if I'd be willing to do photography for a family event. He offered me $2,000 to show up tonight and deliver a message to you. What message? I asked. I was supposed to walk up to you at exactly 9:30. Pretend we'd been in contact. Whisper that Daniel knows about us. And make it look like we were having an affair. He said it was for some kind of surprise renewal of vows, that Daniel wanted to test your loyalty as a romantic gesture before recommitting. My stomach turned. And you agreed to this? I needed the money, Tyler said defensively. My studio is failing. And he made it sound harmless, like a prank between married couples. I didn't realize. He looked at Daniel. I didn't realize he'd twisted it into something else. Daniel's face had gone completely white. Robert set this up. Mark Chen stepped forward, pulling out his phone. I told Tyler this felt wrong, so I started recording when Robert approached him at the coffee shop. I've got the whole conversation on video. We watched the video in stunned silence. Robert was clear and calculated. He wanted Tyler to create the appearance of an affair. Daniel, I said urgently, what does Robert have to gain from destroying our marriage? Daniel's jaw clenched. 3 months ago, I found discrepancies in our firm's accounts. Money being funneled to offshore accounts. I confronted Robert, and he convinced me it was a client's error. But I've been quietly investigating. He's covering his tracks, I realized. If you're distracted by a divorce, you won't be focused on him. We found Robert in the main room, laughing with Grace. But when he saw our faces, all three of us together, clearly united, his expression changed. We need to talk, Daniel said coldly. Privately. Robert glanced toward the exit, but Mark blocked his path. I think you need to explain some things. Grace approached, sensing drama. What's going on here? Daniel ignored his mother, his focus entirely on Robert. You tried to destroy my marriage. The question is, why? We moved to a private corner, and Melissa joined us, her protective instincts fully activated. Robert maintained his composure, but I could see calculation behind his eyes. I don't know what you think you've discovered, Daniel, but I have documentation of 12 fraudulent transactions totaling $3.2 million from our firm's accounts. Daniel interrupted. I've been building a case for the past 3 months. I was planning to go to the police next week. Robert's mask finally cracked. You self-righteous bastard. That firm would be nothing without me. I brought in the biggest clients. I made you. By stealing from them, Daniel said flatly. Sophie, who'd been hovering nearby, suddenly spoke up. That was me. Everyone turned to stare at Daniel's assistant. Robert offered me $50,000 to go through Daniel's home office to find anything about Emma's past that could be used against her. I found an old background check from before you got married, one you'd forgotten about. Tyler's name was in it. Daniel's face flushed. You ran a background check on me? I asked, hurt breaking through the chaos. Before we got married. I just wanted to know you were who you said you were. It was 1 page, basic information. I forgot about it entirely. Sophie continued, her voice shaking. I gave the information to Robert. I didn't know he was going to do all this. I thought he just wanted leverage for some business negotiation. When I realized what was happening tonight, I tried to warn you. But she looked at me apologetically. You weren't answering my texts. I checked my phone. 3 messages from Sophie. Don't believe what you see tonight. It's not what it seems. Robert set everything up. Grace pushed forward. Robert, you involved my family in your criminal activities? You tried to destroy my son's marriage? Robert's composure shattered completely. Your precious son isn't as innocent as you think. He knew about the discrepancies months before, he claims. He benefited from that money too. That's a lie, Daniel said, but his voice wavered. Is it? Robert pulled out his phone. I have emails, Daniel. Emails where you approved transfers, where you asked questions about the offshore accounts. You were complicit, and when things got hot, you decided to make me the scapegoat. I looked at my husband, and for the second time that night, I realized I might not know him at all. Daniel? It's not what it sounds like, he said quickly. I was documenting everything for the investigation. I had to appear complicit to gather evidence, but doubt had crept in. Melissa grabbed my hand. Emma, we need to step back from this. This isn't about you anymore, this is between them. But it was about me. My marriage, my trust, my entire life was caught in their web. Jake and Nina approached, Jake's face concerned. Should we end the party? This is getting way out of hand. Before anyone could answer, a new voice cut through the tension. A woman in a gray suit stepped forward, flanked by two men. She held up a badge. FBI, we've been investigating Hayes and Rivers' law firm for 8 months. Mr. Hayes, Mr. Rivers, you're both going to need to come with us. My legs gave out. Melissa caught me, guiding me to a chair. The woman approached me directly. Mrs. Rivers, I'm Agent Patricia Monroe. I know this is overwhelming, but your husband has been working with us for the past 6 months. He's been wearing a wire, gathering evidence against Robert Hayes. What happened tonight wasn't supposed to happen. Mr. Hayes wasn't supposed to involve you. I looked at Daniel as an agent patted him down standard procedure, they explained. You've been investigating Robert for 6 months, and you never told me? I couldn't, Daniel said, his voice breaking. They said if anyone knew, it could compromise the investigation. When I found those letters, I panicked. I thought maybe Robert had gotten to you, turned you against me. I didn't know what was real anymore. Agent Monroe nodded. Mr. Hayes has been very good at manipulation. He sensed your husband was building a case, so he created this elaborate scheme to discredit him. If Mr. Hayes Rivers accused him of fraud while simultaneously going through a messy divorce based on infidelity. Who would believe him? But the background check, I said to Daniel. You did investigate me before we got married. That part was real, he nodded, shame crossing his face. My first marriage ended badly. My ex-wife had lied about her entire past. When I met you, I was paranoid. I hired someone to verify you were who you said you were. It was one-page name, education, employment, that's all. But I should have told you. Robert laughed bitterly as an agent handcuffed him. The money's already gone. Hidden so deep you'll never find it. And Daniel, I'll make sure everyone knows you were involved. Forged documents, Daniel said quietly. I had a handwriting expert verify it last month. You're going down alone. The party ended with police lights and whispered conversations. Jake and Nina left quietly, their celebration ruined. Grace cornered me before she left, her voice surprisingly gentle. I know I haven't been the warmest mother-in-law, Emma. But I can see you love my son. Don't let this destroy you both. Tyler approached as I stood in the parking garage. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. I should never have agreed to Robert's plan, money or not. Why didn't you just call me? I asked, because part of me hoped. He trailed off, then shook his head. Never mind. You're married. You built a life. I had no right to interfere, even if I was being paid to do it. Mark stood beside him. We're going to head out. If you need anything, witnesses for court or whatever, we'll be there. After they left, it was just Melissa, Daniel, and me. I should take you home, Daniel said softly. I looked at him. This man I'd married, who I'd thought I knew completely. I don't know if I can do this. Emma, you investigated me, Daniel. Before you even proposed, you had someone dig into my past. You didn't trust me from the beginning. I was afraid, he admitted, his voice raw. After my first marriage, I was terrified of being fooled again. But Emma, within a week of meeting you, I knew you were different. I knew you were real. I should have told you about the background check then. I should have been honest. Melissa touched my shoulder. I can take you to my place tonight. You don't have to decide anything right now. I was tempted. But running away wouldn't solve anything. Take me home, Daniel. But you're sleeping in the guest room. During the drive, silence filled the car. When we pulled into our driveway, our house looked the same as it had that morning, perfect, peaceful, stable. But nothing was the same. That night, lying alone in our bed, I stared at the ceiling and wondered if trust, once broken, could ever be fully repaired. My phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. I love you. I'm sorry. I'll spend the rest of my life proving you can trust me. I didn't reply. I didn't know what to say. 3 months later, I sat in Dr. Patricia Monroe's office, not the FBI agent, but a therapist with the same name who Melissa had recommended. Daniel sat beside me, the space between us, both physical and emotional. Emma, can you tell me what you need from Daniel to move forward? Dr. Monroe asked. I'd thought about this question every day since that night. Complete transparency. No more secrets, no matter how small. If there's something in his past, something he's afraid of, I need to know. I can't live wondering what he's hiding. Daniel nodded. I've closed all my private accounts. Emma has access to everything: email, phone, banking. I enrolled in therapy separately to work on my control issues and paranoia, and I've drafted a postnuptial agreement that protects her completely if I ever betray her trust again. It was a start. But could legal documents repair emotional damage? Robert had been sentenced to 15 years for fraud, embezzlement, and witness tampering. Sophie received probation. Her testimony had been crucial. She'd written me a letter apologizing. I hadn't responded yet. Tyler had sent one email. I hope you find your happiness, Emma. Real happiness, not the performance of it. You deserve that. I'd written back simply, thank you. I hope you do too. Jake and Nina had gotten married in a small ceremony. I'd stood beside Nina as her bridesmaid, and Daniel had been Jake's best man. We'd functioned as a couple, but we weren't healed yet. I think we can rebuild this, Daniel said during our session. But only if you want to, Emma. I won't trap you in a marriage where you feel unsafe or controlled. I looked at him, at the man who'd investigated me, set up an elaborate test, and kept dangerous secrets, but also at the man who'd worked with the FBI to catch a criminal, who'd protected our assets, who'd been genuinely shattered by the thought of losing me. I want to try, I said finally. But Daniel, if you ever lie to me again, if you ever investigate me or test me or manipulate me in any way, I'm gone. No second chances, no explanations. Do you understand? Completely, he said. And for the first time in months, I saw genuine hope in his eyes. Trust wasn't rebuilt in a day. It was reconstructed moment by moment, choice by choice, truth by truth. 1 year after that disastrous bachelor party, Daniel and I renewed our vows. It was small, just Melissa, Jake, Nina, and a few close friends. No elaborate parties, no tests, no hidden agendas, just two people choosing each other again, this time with clear eyes and honest hearts. Grace had mellowed, attending therapy herself. She still drove me crazy sometimes, but I understood her better now, a woman who'd watched her first husband lie and cheat, who'd raised her sons to be cautious to the point of paranoia. We were all products of our wounds, trying to heal. I'd started my own marketing consultancy. Daniel had joined a smaller, ethical law firm. We had date nights where we practiced vulnerability, sharing fears, admissions, uncomfortable truths. Some nights were harder than others. I still had moments of doubt. He had moments of insecurity. But we'd learned to talk through it, to choose honesty over comfort. Melissa stood beside me as I prepared for the ceremony, adjusting my simple white dress. You sure about this? Completely? No doubts? I thought about that night, the betrayal, the manipulation, the elaborate web of lies. I thought about the months of therapy, the hard conversations, the slow rebuilding of trust. I'm sure, I said. Not because everything's perfect, but because we're finally being real with each other. As I walked toward Daniel in that small garden ceremony, I realized the story I'd been living, the one about the perfect marriage, had been a fiction. This new story, messy and imperfect and honest, was finally real, and that made all the difference. The end.